Hey, welcome to the Publish, Promote, Profit podcast with me, Rob Kosberg. Every week, I interview thought leaders and experts who have used a book to grow their income and their impact. So tune in weekly for these interviews so you can learn how to use your own best-selling book and go from hunting for clients and opportunities to instead being the hunted. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. Rob Kosberg here. Super excited to bring you a great guest, the most interesting man of our generation, perhaps. Someone I think you're going to really like because he's done some really cool things. I say that, Shaheen, because part of your bio says you're the Willy Wonka of Generation X, which I think is really, really cool. But Shaheen Cheyenne is with us today. He is the world's leading Amazon industry expert. He was at the forefront of several industries. He's taken companies public, done well over $1 billion in sales, entrepreneurial career spanning more than 30 years, which is hard to believe because you look really youthful. So that's good. Keep in good shape. So congratulations on that. Your products have outpaced Fortune 500 company sales. And of course, you are focused a great deal right now on giving back, serving entrepreneurs, helping entrepreneurs to grow their businesses and platforms using Amazon, which I think is really cool. And you have a new book upcoming. You've already launched several best-selling books, but your new book, $1 Billion, How I Became the King of the Thrill Pill Cult. Holy cow, that is quite intriguing. That'll be coming out in the next, couple of months. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But Cheyenne, thank you for being here. Great to have you, my friend.
Rob, I'm honored to be on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think this is going to be fun. We've already had a good conversation beforehand, and it's intriguing. You've done so many things, like you said before. You've kind of made your money. You've taken companies public. You've done some really cool things. Maybe dive in just a little bit with what you're doing on Amazon and what the opportunity is for people when it comes to Amazon. Because a lot of people might look at Amazon and think, this is a place for me to buy my products, but they don't realize that it's such an incredible platform to actually sell on as well.
Yeah, totally. So, like you and I were talking about, we were one of the first third-party sellers on Amazon. So sometime around 2009, 2010, Jeff Bezos makes an announcement. Hey guys, guess what? We're not going to be books anymore, just books. We're opening it up to third-party sellers. Anybody who wants to can sell whatever they want to within reason on our platform. And so when he did this, I thought, hey, this would be a really cool way for me to sell this new supplement, this brain supplement that I had developed called Accelerol at the time. And it was a really good brain supplement. It was super expensive. It was like $120 a month for the stuff. But it really worked. Like, it was unbelievable. It was the limitless pill. And what happened was that I put it on overnight. I didn't think anything about it. I was like, who knows what'll happen with this Amazon thing, right? So we put it on there. Woke up the next day to thousands of orders, right, for this stuff. And so I thought to myself, wait a second, there's something going on here. And so went all in to this space. And how do we learn to speak the language that buyers are speaking on there? And what we learned is that there is a language to how people buy. And that language is different depending on where they buy. So if your customers are going into brick and mortar, those customers are speaking a different language. Those customers are going about the experience. That even in the fashion atmosphere, I know a lot of people that are in the fashion business, the way they align the spaces, the racks where they hang the clothes, if women are too close to each other, they value the clothes at 70 to 85% less than if they have more space.
Wow.
But that is a language that they learned to speak in brick and mortar. So when you go into a fancy boutique, you'll notice that they have very few clothes and there's a lot of space. So people in that particular arena understand that. When it comes to e-commerce, every kind of e-commerce is different. And what we learned with the Amazon platform is that the way you have to tell the story is different. Because now you've got somebody who's gone into search looking for, like, your clients are selling books.
Yeah.
They're not looking to research. They are looking to buy. To research, they will go on to Google. To research, they will use other forums. They may search Facebook. They may go on to LinkedIn,
right?
If they're doing, career research. But if they're on Amazon, they're looking to buy. Now, if they've already gotten to the point where they're at that buying decision, where they're ready to make a purchase, one thing we know is that consumers have exhaustion. They are no longer at a place where they're trying to gather endless information. So similar to how they place the racks further apart, we learned that making that buying decision as quick and as effortless and safe for their mind as possible really allows you to get a huge volume of sales on the Amazon platform. So that was one of the learnings that we had. And we've spent, the last 11 plus years figuring out how we can optimize and how anyone like yourself, like me, like your followers can optimize their business to sell on Amazon, and to also to how you find products, which is one of the number one problems of people who are like, hey, I want to start an Amazon business, but I don't have a product. We teach an algorithm of how to do that and how to optimize so that when you get on Amazon, you are speaking a language that your customers understand.
Love it. Let's go down that rabbit hole just a little bit. So you've spent a lot of time, a lot of years, like figuring out what the language is. So give me, everybody has their steps, right? So what do those steps look like to optimize that buying experience as much as possible, simplify it, et cetera? It's a buyer search engine, as you said. People are going to Amazon not to look, they're going to buy. So what are the steps to optimize that process to get the most sales?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like a lot of people come to me and they're like, hey man, I read a book a week. I read a book a month. I read a book a day. I had one guy telling me he reads a book a day. Right. And I told him it's a really interesting quote. It actually comes from one of my heroes and all-time idols, Bruce Lee. And he said, don't fear the man who knows 1,000 punches. I'm probably butchering the quote here, but he said, don't fear the man who knows 1,000 punches. Fear the man who practices one punch 1,000 times.
Right.
So similarly, I base most of the work I do on very few books. There's a handful of books that I base the majority of work that I do. And one of the most influential books of our time is a book called Influence by a guy named Cialdini, a professor. And in that book, Cialdini talks about 5 principles, 5 pillars of influence, that if you want to influence somebody to do something, if you want to write a book and influence somebody to do something, if you want to create a product, if you want to get to that end goal for yourself, get to that sale, get to that close, you're going to need to exercise some or all of these elements of influence. So we took Cialdini's elements of influence and we adapted them to the Amazon platform and to selling on e-commerce in particular. First one, most important, I'm sure you know, social proof. Right? Nobody believes you or me anymore.
Right.
Nobody believes us because we want something from them. We have a vested interest in them buying what we're selling. So what you have to do is you have to get people who they trust. So who do people trust is other people just like them. So in this instance, what we do is we build social proof. And on Amazon, I'm sure you know, reviews and ratings are the most important thing. And we teach how to do that. Now, once you have that, you need to have authority. So are you selling a supplement? If so, who's the authority in that? Is it a weight loss supplement? Maybe it's a weight loss guru. Maybe it's a weight loss expert. Is it some other kind of supplement? Then we would need that expert. And maybe it's a doctor, right? So authority, right? Likability. Are you writing like a corporate guy, right? Is your copy like, please purchase, the X23 thing for the, right? Nobody wants to hear that. You want to be the guy that's like, hey, bud, get this thing. It'll do this. It did it for me. It's awesome. Yeah. Right. Because people like other people that are like them, right? Likability. Scarcity is another one, right? You want to show that you're using high quality and there's limited supplies. This may not last forever. And then reciprocity, right? You give something to them, they give something to you. And we use that in multiple different ways. For example, when people leave a review, we send them something nice if we can on occasion, if it doesn't violate. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you maintain these elements of influence, and we've adapted them using these algorithms that we teach people how to do so you can sell on the Amazon platform using the elements of influence.
Love it. I love his books. I have his last two right here, and they are the Bible of, creating authority. So love that. You were sharing with me before, which I just found really intriguing, but we didn't go down that rabbit hole, so I'd like to. But you're sharing with me before, you've taken companies public. You were on the forefront of an entire industry selling. And you told me, and just briefly, you said that one of your previous books was really kind of the thing that helped this company to really explode and go public. Maybe share a little bit about that, if you could, what that looks like. If you can talk about the company, whatever specifics, that would be great. If not, no worries.
Sure. So in the early stages of, I would say this particular industry in the late 1990s, early 2000s, I realized that people were smoking and they were creating smoke, tar, and carbon monoxide, which were the carcinogenic elements, the cancer-causing elements of smoking. So I thought, hey, what if we could create a way for people to enjoy their herbs, be it tobacco or cannabis, which was not legal then, or anything, chamomile, lavender, whatever, without burning it. If we didn't burn it, you wouldn't get smoke, tar, and carbon monoxide, and presumably none of the carcinogenic elements that came with smoking. So I went on a several-year journey of patenting and perfecting the science of vape and vaporization. And we built the first digital vaporizer. And, that company did go public in 2007, I believe, 2008, somewhere around there. It was the first publicly held vaporizer company. And, one thing I realized when I first launched this company, and it was an awesome company because, what I always talk about people is get in on blue ocean if you can, because if you can create a niche and then dominate it, you'll have a nice run and you can charge whatever you want. It was costing me between $20 to $40 a unit. I was selling them for $400 a unit as quickly as we could get them made, right? And they were as big as a ketchup bottle. And, to your point, the thing that I realized is that, hey, I want to be the guy who goes down as the authority in this. And so in order to be an authority, I wrote a book. And I wrote the book, it's called Vapor. It was an all right book, for the time, more of a technical kind of manual, but it was pretty good. I wrote it for laymen to understand. And the book started getting in the hands of all the pharma execs. It started getting in the hands of, top tier people. And I started getting calls. Hey, can you produce this for our pharma company? Hey, nice. Can we license this technology? Hey, come on our show. I did Regis and Kelly. I did all the big TV shows at that time, which was funny, before Regis Philbin died, super sweet guy. He had our vaporizer on, and he was one of the first people to actually vape on TV.
No way.
And they were so particular about that once they the vape thing got really big that they wiped the whole internet of it. I still have a copy of it, which is really funny. Yeah. But they wiped the internet clean of anything of him not being, squeaky clean, which was pretty interesting. But, the book really helped propel me as an authority in that space and got me on those shows. And it also got me in the door to a lot of corporate meetings that ended up resulting in millions of dollars of revenue for the company. Now, did I make money from the book? Not really. We sold 100,000 copies of this book. Hardcover was spectacular. The sales of it didn't really make much money compared to what I was making those things for $20 and selling them for $400. And certainly not what I made from licensing it to a big pharma company or any of that stuff, but the value to writing a book for me really is the fact that, it's a calling card. Yeah. And I can go into any corporate setting and they would be like, here's Shaheen. He wrote the book on this. He wrote the book on that. Yeah. Which is really fascinating as far as something that could propel your business and your career.
I love that. Well, you said, and this is pretty standard. I mean, we talked to all of our clients about this at Bestseller Publishing, but you said, that book got you meetings. with the heads of pharmas and other corporations. And because of that, you had to do the rest, right? I mean, you had to be who you are and you had to close those deals, but those deals meant millions of dollars in sales and opportunities. And, the book opens the door, right? The book gives you the platform, the foundation, the credibility. And it sounds like it did just that. Who cares if it made any royalties or not? It did its job.
Right. Yeah. Look, you still have to hustle. And, I've got client after client who comes to us and we position them to, hey, you might want to consider writing a book, and writing that book is going to get you the authority that you need to go to the next level in what you want to do. So it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. Love it, Shane. Tell me about, while we're on the book topic, I want to learn a little bit more about the coaching and courses and stuff you do. But while we're on the book topic, talk to me about your upcoming book. You shared a little bit about the, primary focus of that with me before, but tell me about what the book is about. It's obviously a pretty intriguing title and interesting. And the picture, is that a picture of you, by the way, on the cover?
On the cover. So for you guys who are listening to this on audio, there's a picture of me. You guys can see it on, I've got a podcast called Billion, How I Became King of the Thrill Pill Cult. And there's the first chapter of the audio book is on there for free for anybody who wants to listen to it.
Awesome.
But the cover picture is a picture of me in my teens, taken by world famous photographer David LaChapelle in New York. And it's a totally psychedelic picture of me with long flowing hair and a fuchsia robe sitting on a throne. And there's two bikini clad girls behind me in fluorescent bikinis. And there's a big castle. And it's crazy.
It's a great cover.
It's a crazy cover, right? Considering now I think I don't look very much like that anymore. But, I'll give you this little story that I like to tell, so I was sitting in my office, and at this point we had 200 employees in Venice Beach, launched the largest supplement company in world history at that time, the single largest sales of a single supplement. And I got a call to come in that my secretary, we had secretaries at that time, was a thing still in the 90s. She calls me in and I'm like, yep. And the news just came in that we had broken $1 billion in sales.
Wow.
And I remember thinking to myself, am I allowed to curse on your podcast, by the way?
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever's real.
I'm practicing my filters these days because I know some podcasts don't let you curse. But I remember thinking to myself, holy fuck, $1 billion. And then I thought, fuck, I don't know how much $1 billion is. And so I started looking around. I was pulling encyclopedias off because this was pre-internet. And they told me, CNN wanted to have me on. And I just did Montel Williams. And it was widely publicized that we had done $350 million a year. And I was like, all right, I can manage $350 million, but what, $1 billion? I didn't even know what that was.
Wow.
And then I had to calm myself down and be like, okay, they're not going to ask you what $1 billion is. So don't worry about that. Just go on. And it was the start of a crazy ride where effectively, a few years back, I had invented a teenage kid that had invented a legal drug alternative called herbal ecstasy that just swept the world by storm. And I started it distributing to real drug dealers. I went to real drug dealers and I said, hey, here's a alternative to illegal drugs. And nobody understood what it was or what it did or any of that stuff at that time, but they didn't have any real drugs. So I was at the right place at the right time. And, the supply of the real drugs had dried up and they had no choice. So they started selling my stuff. And after a couple of years, we were in 7-Eleven, Urban Outfitters, Warehouse Records. Do you remember Warehouse Records?
Sure. Yeah.
I think, me and you were saying we were in Warehouse Records. We were in Larry Flint called me up to his office on Beverly Hills and wanted to carry it in all of his Hustler stores. We were in Playboy. We were in Penthouse. We were in every major magazine and TV and news and radio, and we were on MTV, and it was a crazy ride. And at the time, I was just a teenager and I had no clue. And moreover, before that, I had dropped out of school at 15, which I think was ninth grade, and went out on my own. So I had no schooling. I had no education. I had no college degree. And I had a company that had created $1 billion. So there I was. And so the book, Billion, How I Became King of the Thrill Pill Cult, is my story of my journey through that and the wild ride that was.
Wow. Certainly must have been an incredibly wild ride, especially for a teenager. And looking at that picture of you as a teenager, looks like you probably enjoyed yourself. So during that ride, pretty incredible.
Yeah. I mean, it was hilarious fun. I talk about, in the book about a day where a mysterious man shows up to my office with $1 million in a duffel bag and a ticket for, a pass for a private plane to Tokyo. And I go to Tokyo, and it turns out that the people I'm there to meet are the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia.
Oh, my God.
And so a very hairy negotiation ensued where they thought they were going to be getting, I'm not going to ruin it for your listeners by giving any spoilers, but they thought they were going to be getting my entire company. And I had to negotiate my way out of that.
Yeah.
Which was
your life. Your life for your company. That is very cool. Now, obviously writing a book like that is very different than writing a book to, get corporate sponsorships or pharmaceutical, deals, et cetera. Tell me the purpose of you writing that book, besides obviously just probably good fun and retelling the story, and all the things that can come from it. But what's the purpose, and where are you going with that book?
Yeah. So, I've got another book coming up, which is much more around Amazon authority and that kind of stuff. But the reason why I did this book is, because I was driven to do it. And I feel like the story needs to be told. There's, if you guys search on YouTube, you'll find hundreds of videos of me on Nightline with Sam Donaldson and on Montel Williams and all these different shows. So, the story's been told, but not really from my perspective. So I think the entirety of the story, will be inspiring. And like we said, I'm at a place in my life. Look, I'm not shining Lamborghinis. Hey, look at my Lamborghini, look at this, look at that. But I'm doing well for myself. And, I've rebuilt myself many times. I'm at a place where I have what I call freedom, being able to do what you want with who you want, when you want, which is what we talked about.
Yeah.
And based on that, and I often tell people, freedom, time is the new luxury. Yeah. That's really the new luxury. All that other stuff is bullshit. Right? If you can just drop everything you're doing right now and go be with your family, drop everything you're doing right now and go have a beer with your buddy down the street and have it absolutely have no impact on your life, then maybe you got freedom, right? But if you can't do that, that's the ultimate luxury. Things are not the ultimate luxury.
Yeah.
So my goal with this book and coming forward is to empower people. And that's also why I do a course and why I have a mastermind, is I want to empower people to find that freedom, especially now during COVID. And, now the COVID is coming to an end, hopefully, that, we've been shown that it is possible for us to create these recurring revenue models and to create predictable recurring revenue, year after year, month after month, and not have to sell our fucking hours. So many people sell their hours, right? And the work that you do too, right? Because once you publish a book, you become an authority. Once you become an authority, you can start working for yourself more. You become more in demand, and that can become one of your pillars. So, when you and I were talking about it, I'm like, yeah, of course that makes sense, right? Because you're nobody. I know one guy who's like, I'll tell you, he's a famous, I'm not going to mention him by name, but he's like a famous dude who does some like self-help stuff, right? And I remember talking to this guy and being like, dude, like he's famous for being famous. He's like giving talks, he's doing all kinds of crap. But I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, well, nobody really takes me seriously. I'm like, yeah, because you need a book. So guess what he did?
Wrote a book.
He published a book on the thing. And so now he's the guy who wrote the book, so it's so important to have that element of authority. And it's just one of the pillars, as I'm sure you know, Rob, right? Yeah. So that's one of the pillars, right? You should have a good website. That's one of the pillars, right? You should be building this out so that you're creating these recurring revenue streams. And I also believe very strongly that, especially nowadays, is that you should have an e-commerce business. It's and don't think of it as like a 9 to 5, because again, I like to get people out of selling their hours. The way you get fucked in life is by selling your hours, right? I come from an immigrant family, Rob, came here from Iran in the 1970s during the fall of the Shah. My dad worked at a pizza shop and then a dry cleaners, pretty freaking poor. And, I remember like my folks, one of the biggest points of contention with my folks was that they saw two things that I could possibly become. There were no other options. Thing number one, doctor. Thing number two, lawyer.
Same with my
That was it. Yeah. Yep. And I realized, it was the pinnacle for them because they saw doctors and they saw wealth, right? They saw the doctor driving the Mercedes and having the big house and the beautiful wife and family and whatever it was, and thinking that's the pinnacle of life. And I remember thinking to myself, that's just some like douchebag who fucking went like 8 years in school and is now selling his hours. And the only way he gets a leg up is either if he inherits some freaking money or if he has invested it in real estate or, climbed the real estate ladder, created some other form of recurring revenue. Because no matter how much you get per hour, we still all only have 24 freaking hours.
Right. Very true.
And so, right. So this is where that whole e-commerce comes in, right? And I remember the first time I told my mom, hey, Mom, I don't think I'm going to become a doctor. And she was like, Shani, what do you mean? What else is there? Do you want to dance? What is it? You want to dance? Huh? Really? Sing? What? You become a doctor. That's it.
Oh, that's funny.
See? Right. And that's the story for a lot of people. And so instead of that, I left home. I was like, I don't fucking know what there is to do, but I'm not going to be like that dude. Like, right. I'm not fucking going to school for 8 years. It is not happening. Right. To get how much do you get at the end of that? Oh, well, back in the 90s, what was it? Like a doctor could make 60 to 80 a year. Yeah. Maybe if you're some kind of surgeon, 100 a year. I made that like in a day. I tell the story in Billion of how we did Lollapalooza, which was this big music festival in the 90s. I don't know if they still have it. And we went on tour. We went on tour with Beastie Boys and Lollapalooza and Porno for Pyros and Red Hot Chili Peppers and all those bands. And I remember there was a single day where we made $1 million in cash.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this, as a teenager with no education, and, I'll tell you, it was amazing and humbling at the same time. But, we did $1 million a single show for one day. And that show was multiple days over time. And I remember the line of beer vendors at the show management stage, just furious because nobody was buying beer anymore. Whoa. Everybody was saving their money. And those pills cost me 25 cents to produce. And we were selling them for $20 cash.
Oh my gosh.
Right? There was no internet. There was no like credit card processing and stuff. It was cash.
Cash only.
Cash only. We were filling duffel bags with cash. And I remember people would come and they would be like, so if I get 10, do I get a discount? And we'd be like, no, if you get 10, you get 10. That's your prize.
That's right.
Right? You don't have to wait in line again. And that's what it was. We were printing money in those days.
Wow.
And it was amazing. And now I feel Amazon presents that opportunity. And that's what we teach through Amazon. How do you find those margins and those products and do that? So, I'm super psyched, Rob, about inspiring people to do that.
I love it. I love it. I wonder if we could just take a couple of minutes and like walk me through, you gave me steps, kind of Cialdini-esque steps, to make your product more saleable. Can you give me like a general overview, somebody that doesn't have an e-commerce business, but is intrigued by it? What are the things, the pieces that they need to look for, think about, and the things that you kind of teach as the basics, if you will, like the first principles?
Yeah. So it's super easy. Most people, get overwhelmed and they're like, wow, there's so much to this. I don't have a product. I don't have time.
Right.
So there's answers to all of that. As far as time goes, there's no better opportunity now in history than to utilize virtual assistants. And we have a whole system of how you use VAs to run your business.
Love it.
And we teach that in the course. The other aspect is that people are like, oh, I don't know how to find a product. Well, I'll tell you, the biggest mistake that people make is that they have a product or they have a better mousetrap.
Already.
Right? Build a better mousetrap. The world will beat its way to your door. Maybe in the 1930s or 40s, right? Yeah. And it's from somebody who's done it, it's a really hard fucking struggle. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
The easier way, and what we teach, is a system. And that system entails looking at the market, spying on your competitors, spying on the market, finding out what the market needs, then researching vulnerabilities in the marketplace. Where are these competitors weak? And then you come in and you dominate, because what you're doing now is you are feeding the market what it already needs, what it wants. You are telling a better story. You are offering better authority, better social proof, all those things that we talk about, and sales become easy. You don't have to go out there and bang on doors and shove your product down people's throats, like the old way of disruption marketing that we talk about, that one of my favorite authors, Seth Godin, often talks about. Is, now we're at permission marketing, but we're even beyond permission marketing. We're now at a whole new level where we are doing precision persuasion engineering. Nice. Where we are making them think that they have decided themselves that your product is the best choice. You are becoming a decision architect. And if you can do that, you're well on your way. And just like me, currently in my company, I really have 2 staff. There are 2 people in my company.
Wow.
We have 200 people all over the world that run the company on a day-to-day basis. I've got people in India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, South and Central America, getting amazing MBA quality people, college degreed people that are trained by Fortune 50, Fortune 500 companies. And these people will work for a fraction of what we pay here. Not only that, they appreciate the work and have a level of excellence that you would have to pay a whole lot for here. So, learning how to use these tools to grow your business is a remarkable thing. And I'll tell you, I have if it's okay with you, I have a 2-hour crash course that teaches anybody how to do this from A to Z. You don't need to spend 1 cent. There's nothing we're selling.
Love it.
At all. And the course normally goes for $200. I'll give it to any of your listeners for free. So if you mention Publish, Promote, Profit, we will give them the entire, it's about 1 to 2 hour Amazon course, everything you need from beginning to end, absolutely free. And, they can just reach out to me on the Shaheen Shayan website, or I'm sure you'll share the notes in your show notes as well.
Totally. Well, let's give them some links. I mean, just what you shared about virtual assistants and the power of that, getting really top-notch people, is amazing. And that should hopefully take a lot of fear away from people, because, people don't want to exchange their time for dollars. But that's the exact thing you're saying is the purpose of the e-commerce course, is that this is a way to no longer exchange time for dollars and really grow some wealth. So let's give them some links of where they can go. And thank you for your generosity in that 2-hour course. Absolutely. We'll put it in the show notes and everything for people. Where should we send them?
Yeah. Okay. So guys, I also do a podcast, and I'd love to get you on that podcast as well, Rob.
Love it. Love to.
We do a great podcast. I think our listenership has grown now to about 100,000 subscribers. So we're very excited. We've got over 50,000 downloads. It's called Hack and Grow Rich. So look us up. You can, anywhere podcasts are found, and get involved in Hack and Grow Rich. We've got great guests like Chris Voss, the FBI negotiator, Nolan Bushnell, the founder of Atari, Keith Ferrazzi, Never Eat Alone, Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, Jay Sammet, Disrupt You. We've got great guests on Hack and Grow Rich. So please, sign up for that. Billion about the book. If you're interested, it'll be released on Amazon, wherever books are found. You can get the podcast there. If you're interested in the free course, just reach out to me by email. I answer all emails directly myself.
Wow.
We don't have a big commercial course or mastermind. We keep things small because there's only so many people that I can influence and affect directly. So we keep things small. We handpick the people that we select. But to every one of your listeners, I'm going to open that up. So that can be fbasellercourse.com, or just email me directly at darkzess@gmail.com. That is my direct email. I answer every single email directly. And if you're interested, I'm happy to help out any of your listeners if they want to get on the phone with me for 15 minutes. I'm always interested in trying to help and inspire other people. So I would be open to that.
Dang. Incredible, brother. I appreciate that. And we'll put those links in the show notes for everybody. We'll, of course, email this out to our entire list and our social media and make sure everybody has it. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really enjoyed talking to you. I have your book. I have Billion pulled up, so I'm going to pre-order it. I look forward to getting it and reading it. I want to see what your lifestyle was like back when you were a teenager. And of course, I look forward to maybe doing some cool things together down the road. And after your book gets launched, if you want to come on again, we'd love to have you. But thanks for being a part of things today.
Thanks, Rob. Honored to be on. So much fun. Appreciate it.
Love it.